Hey, listen to Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MP. As always, it's Grady and live on Skype. We got Josh.
Hey!
It is time for our Payback review recap kind of show. We have 6 matches that ended up on the card. Let's just start top to bottom. Becky Lynch, Trish Stratus, steel cage match for the opener.
Alright. As much as we've ragged on the feud as a whole, and it was ragged on justifiably, this was an outstanding match. It did everything it needed to do, and then some. And these two women went to war and have the scars to show for it.
Yeah, it was a brutal match between the two, and I think you're right, you know. Sometimes the circumstances leading up to the match can be not the greatest, and then you make chicken salad out of chicken poop, come out here and have an amazing one, and ticks the box to send Trish Stratus off with an amazing match, and ticks the box to shoot Becky Lynch into her next feud, which seemingly we know about as well.
At least 2 feuds, at least. Yeah, it was the right call. Becky definitely should have won. So that was the right call. And it looks like you said that she would send Trish off with a bang. It definitely looks more like they're going to have Trish put Zoe over too, which would be pretty dang huge.
Yeah, especially since Zoe, hasn't done. She came up, she was Trish's lackey, and that's kind of her launch pad onto that main roster. So nothing better than going over a veteran on your way up.
Yeah. And when you're in a position like a Trish, this is what you should be doing. You should be putting people over.
Yeah. Ultimately works out, right? And looking at Becky, at least what I was alluding to, is that she may be on Raw, she may be on NXT, but maybe she'll go back and capture the one title she didn't get.
Yeah. I mean, I think they've already have a match scheduled for next week on NXT between champion Tiffany Stratton and Becky Lynch, which all rolled out because of a flubbed line from a promo.
That's called adaptability.
Intentionally or not. But yeah, so it's fun. I really don't want to see Becky with that title, but at the same time, how can you legitimately say to put her under Stratton right after she beat Trish Stratus?
Yeah, it would confuse the power level hierarchy of the women's division a little bit. I think you got 2 options. The one option is put the title on Becky Lynch short term, and the other option is to have some sort of finish that, Becky Lynch gets screwed out of her championship win, and all we have from that flub is a one-off match where Stratton feels vulnerable and Becky Lynch just gets, a showcase match on NXT and launch padded back up to Raw. But ultimately, we'll have to wait and see. Maybe next week we're talking about a brand new NXT Women's Champion. Who knows? Second match on the card, again, has quite a lot about it as well. LA Knight, The Miz. We had a segment with The Miz and John Cena prior. Cena ends up special guest referee. LA Knight comes out on top. The Miz does an amazing segment on Raw with an invisible John Cena, goes viral. A lot of eyes on Knight, Miz, Cena at the moment.
LA Knight definitely had that moment where he got some shine from one of the greatest of all time in Cena. Then you have just the pure, unadulterated beauty that is Miz. Miz had one heck of a week. If you go back from Raw of last week all the way through to Raw of this week.
Mm-hmm.
Because Raw of last week, he impersonated LA Knight perfectly, and then had a pretty good match with LA Knight, and then had one of the best promo segments of this decade. on Raw, with him interviewing no one, which was just hilarious watching him do all that. And I love that he tied it all back in the night, saying that Knight's success and stuff is just as absurd as him interviewing an invisible person. And it looks like we're getting another Miz Knight match.
Yeah, it's. I think Miz Knight is the immediate out of this, but I don't know. On the top of my head, I can't stop thinking about LA Knight and John Cena versus the Miz and somebody. Potentially a Waller slotting in there, if John Cena is going to be around a little bit leading up to the show in India, that'd be a decent little showcase match where he can take it easy, not going into a high-profile one-on-one match where maybe he can't go or deliver what he wants. Just have him, that visual of him fighting, let LA Knight take a lot of the heavy burden. And then at the end, John Cena and LA Knight raise their hands and stand victorious.
Yeah. This is definitely an effect of the Hollywood strikes.
Mm-hmm.
Cena has some unexpected free time to be able to do all this with WWE. He has said it himself. He knows his last match is coming. It's just a matter of when. And that will be sad when he does officially retire for good.
Mm-hmm.
But right now he's doing his best to try to elevate LA Knight. He had some funny segments on the pay-per-view as a whole. His interview of Judgment Day as looking up to his hero, Lance Chatterman, which was amazing. It was just fun.
And moving on as well, we got the United States Championship, Austin Theory failing in his campaign to regain the title off of champion Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, this was a match.
I can move swiftly on if you want.
Yeah, it was alright. It wasn't anything to be unexpected, and I think it was further to really just elevate more along the storyline of potentially the LWO.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty much all that one was. Shortest match on the card as well, under 10 minutes.
The only one under 10 minutes.
Yeah. Next shortest 15, so it was what it was. I'm going to put a pin in the two Judgment Day matches just because they have the most knock-on actions and story to talk about, so let's go instead to the main event. Last match of the card, Seth Rollins versus Nakamura for the World Heavyweight Championship. Conversely, the longest match on the card, 26 minutes. And they're not done either.
No. This is also like the first pay-per-view main evented by someone not named Roman Reigns in like a year. Or longer. It's been a long time since we've had a main event that was that did not involve the bloodline.
Not a single ounce of bloodline on the match card.
Yeah. Well, there was a segment involving it, so on the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was a fantastic match, and definitely does feel like they can go so much further with these two. Personally, I think I'd rather see a different match for the main event for the next pay-per-view, which is No Mercy. I think it's No Mercy or Fastlane, whichever one it is.
Scroll. It's NXT No Mercy and WWE Fastlane.
So it's Fastlane. So, but having a rematch and some sort of stipulation would be fine with me. I think it would be a fantastic match. Again, and it was just one of those swerves like you expect. Once what happened in the tag team match happened, you knew Rollins that the briefcase was not going to be in. But it was, so I still think this is going to be part of what brings down Seth Rollins ultimately, but it could definitely just gives us more and more thorns along the storyline.
Yeah. The storyline currently for that World Heavyweight Championship is just Seth Rollins and how long can he go. You know, all of his matches have been really long. All of his matches have been really high profile. Lots of hard-hitting bouts with Finn Balor, straight into a hard-hitting bout with Nakamura. You know, how long until the wheels fall off, pretty much.
How long until he takes too much damage in the briefcase that is actually used?
Yeah. And then just before we go into our entrance theme, to explain it a little bit, we had a lovely Gunther Chad Gable match on Raw this week, officially taking Gunther over that line and taking the number one spot.
Yep, Gunther is officially, as of when this airs, the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time at 355 days. It was a phenomenal match, and they definitely feel like they're not done, which is why I said I'd like to see a different main event for the next pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
Give me Gable versus Gunther 30-minute Iron Man match.
Yeah. I do think, though, those two do have a little bit left in the tank. They've put on a couple good clashes now. Looking back even to the first, I guess, challenge match that Gable ended up with the sneaky win on. I think we all agreed that Gable wasn't going to stop the record. But with the record done, solved, and out of the way, his chances drastic go up.
Yeah, it does. I just want to see that match. I don't care if they kept it on Gunther or not. I just want to see them go at it for 30 minutes. I think it would be an all-time classic. Plus, we got out of this match on Raw, we got a new meme. The brand new Miz Girl. Being Chad Gable's daughter. So yeah, it was... personally, I think Raw just brought the person that will beat Gunther down to Raw.
Mm-hmm.
But I still don't think it'll be Chad Gable, but I will not be mad if it is.
Mm-hmm. We'll have to wait and find out, because for now we're going to go into our entrance theme of the week. It is none other than that longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time, Gunther, and when we come back on the other side, we're going to be talking all about the Judgment Day and the person you just alluded to. Back Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and NPR. Let's talk about the Women's World Championship up first. Rhea Ripley successfully defending against Raquel Rodriguez, thanks to, as always, a little bit of help from Dom.
It was a fine match. Definitely one of those situations where it's like this was like an early match in their like interactions, because it definitely felt like this should have been around a bigger paper. But I definitely don't think that this is the last time we will see.
In fact, I think next week we're actually booked a rematch with Dominic Bard from ringside.
Which, of course, will have the same effect that the steel cage had in the first match of the pay-per-view. Dominic will somehow still get involved.
Do people forget, she doesn't need Dom to interfere. She's also got a Bella. She's also got a Priest. She's also kind of maybe got a JD. There's plenty of other people to interfere on his behalf.
Plus, they are in the women's division, and women generally are catty, and there could be a number of women that could get involved to cost Raquel the match, just because they want a shot at Rhea.
Yeah.
So,
who really knows? But opening up the big Judgment Day floor, Steel City Street Fight for the Tag Team Championships. It was Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn going against the Judgment Day. A whole lot of schmozzling happening. JD helping, Dom helping. All that matters, end of the day, Bella and Priest are holding tag team gold above their head.
And Rhea Ripley spearing Kevin Owens through a barricade. It was crazy. Plain and simple. I am shocked. I did not expect the tag team titles. I really expected something to happen and Finn take a pole. Then Damian Priest takes the world title, and so they kick Finn out, or they kick Damian out in Randy Orton style. Instead, we get Finn Balor as a Grand Slam champion, which we didn't have before. And Damian Priest has a new briefcase. A purple one.
Yeah, it's interesting developments for the Judgment Day. As you say, we've all got gold now. We got 2 tag team championships. We got a women's championship. We got a North American championship. We got a briefcase. We're pretty overloaded when it comes to the Judgment Day. Only thing they're missing is that world championship level title. But briefcase is meant to be a ticket to that. And I think JD may have smuggled himself a spot into the Judgment Day potentially.
It's possible. I mean, he did have help with beating Sami Zayn on Raw. Thanks to Dominic, at least. So
yeah, it definitely switched up, right? Because we were looking at the previous week's match and we were talking about how JD, the only backup he got was Finn Balor. And then now you come around this week and it's like, all right, now for backup he got Dom. And so it is definitely developing his relationship with non-Balor members of Judgment Day.
Yeah, and it was JD that presented Balor with the new briefcase, which then had a segment where they switched the contract to the new briefcase, and then asked about what they wanted to do with the original briefcase, which presents a potential storyline. What if that's a fake contract? What if the real contract's in the other briefcase and Finn cashes it in after Damian tries to cash in, and they find out it was an illegitimate cash in because it wasn't the real contract?
Yeah.
That would be an interesting twist.
As soon as that segment aired, I messaged in the group chat just going, oh, Judgment Day is screwing Priest here. There was vibes all throughout that segment, both the in-ring briefcase transfer and the contract transfer. The vibe chart was just going insane. There is some shady stuff happening inside the Judgment Day. There's Rhea holding Dom back, giving him special instructions, contracts being copied across, JD being accepted in. There's a stuff a-brewing.
And let's face it, Rhea Ripley is the puppet master of this group. It may be, Finn Balor may be, quotation marks, the leader. It's really Rhea Ripley, the one behind the curtain.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever she wants, she will get. But yeah, I think it's just another layer to this Judgment Day storyline that's taking a spin of its own, dominating the Raw the way the Bloodline dominated SmackDown for 3 years.
And I'm liking it. I'm liking what's coming out of the storyline. I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes next. I think much like when we're looking at the Bloodline and it launched Jey Uso into the stratosphere, to a lesser extent Jimmy and Solo as well, pulled Sammy back up. It's done, wonders for people's careers. You look at Judgment Day, Bella's been pulled back up. Priest is about to be shot into the stratosphere. Dominic Mysterio is the most, whatever the opposite of over is, superstar in the WWE right now. It's having that same effect, whether it be career resurgence or just straight up career growth, from a number of superstars. I'm going to officially call it being under instead of being over. But one of the losers of this match, one of the former tag team champions, Sami Zayn, did get himself a little bit of a segment, starting off with the brand new member of the Raw roster. I guess to explain the storyline a little bit, Jey Uso walked out on the WWE, seemingly. Cody Rhodes pulls a few straws, because, there's contracts and there's legal and there's other stuff involved. Pulls Jey Uso over to Raw, Adam Pearce did mention that eventually he would be traded for somebody else over to SmackDown, yet TBC, and he's still feeling a little loosey.
Yeah, it was a nice segment. I do worry somewhat, and at the same time, it may be necessary, but again, it's one of those situations where, do we really need to see Jey Uso break up Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and turn one of them heel?
No, I think we're good for now. Down the line is a little bit harder because Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are just so on again, off again. It's really hard to tell whether they're going to be on again or if they're going to be off again. Titles are out of their hands. Definitely a chance they're just going to implode immediately. Yeah,
and honestly, I love Kevin Owens. I am a big fan. He's at his best when he's a heel.
Mm-hmm.
He's good as a face, but he is phenomenal as a heel. And honestly, I think our champion Seth needs challengers.
Yeah.
And who would say no to a Kevin Owens Seth Rollins match?
Not me.
So it's one of those things where it's like, I'm fine if that's the direction they want to go. It's not an idea because again, it is just feeds into they work together, they fight. They work together, they fight. In a perpetual cycle.
It's the same cycle that Gargano and Ciampa are also on. They work together, they fight. Tag team fight. Tag team fight. I did throw out the idea that we're still trying to build towards War Games for Survivor Series. I don't know if that is the plan. Survivor Series is still a couple months away. But if we got some lovely teams building here now with Judgment Day getting an extra member, Sami Zayn getting an old comrade, Cody Rhodes sort of linking himself into a point there, is potentially something if we want to build towards it. Up to them, but we would have to drag out a little bit of these feuds, or put the little bit of a break on them to slow down at least.
And then there's the matter of who gets sent from Raw to SmackDown in exchange for Jey.
And
a lot of people are saying Cody, because that would be what would be getting him onto the SmackDown roster to give him a chance to eventually face, which then you wouldn't need him to win the Rumble. Because they could just do a number one contender elimination chamber. But I think they maybe get him like over there some other way, because I think you do need to have somebody show up on SmackDown in the next couple to solve that, or then it begins to not make it.
Yeah, that's the hard part. As you said,
if we're building to War Games or a traditional Survivor Series, that's not going to be resolved if it's Cody Rhodes until end of November.
Yeah, I also just feel that Cody Rhodes is kind of like the obvious choice, especially with everything happening with Roman Reigns. So I wouldn't mind being swerved in this case and having somebody from SmackDown, from Raw being thrown over to SmackDown. Yeah, I'd be open to it for sure. LA Knight and The Miz are still interacting cross-brand. Who knows? Maybe The Miz is who gets thrown over to SmackDown. Makes it a SmackDown exclusive feud. Makes sense with Waller.
Or maybe they go off the rails and they pick somebody from NXT.
Who knows?
Somebody who tried to commit murder on NXT. That's my best way of doing a segue before we run out of time.
Yeah, I was like, we almost got no time. Bron Breakker, Concerto to Von Wagner, leaving him just being pulled out. Screen went black. Pretty gnarly ending to NXT. Pretty abrupt ending to NXT. And it might match the abrupt ending to this show after we bring that up.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was definitely one of those, they really did that moment when I heard about it and then saw the footage. It's definitely like, this is a step towards TV 14. For sure. That's not something you would have seen 10 years ago in the PG era.
No.
Yeah, if they decide, well, Riker's too dangerous for NXT, we'll pull him over to SmackDown in exchange for Jey Uso.
Why not? Or maybe it'll be Zion Quinn. Who knows? But that is all we have time for this week. It's been great talking to you.
Maybe.
You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/wrestling R&D up, our Twitter page, twitter.com/wrestling R&D up, or our YouTube page, youtube.com/wrestling RND up. And we will see you next week.